Shalom from Jerusalem. There's only one holy place in the world for the Jewish people, and that's right here in Jerusalem, the Temple Mount, location of the Holy Temple. The government of Israel has consistently discriminated against the Jewish people by not allowing them permission to pray on the Temple Mount. Additionally, this past week, we were shocked by the news that the government of Israel allowed the Hamas terrorist organization the right to broadcast incitements from the Temple Mount. In response to this situation, a letter has been prepared and sent to Prime Minister Ehud Olmert and to all the ministers of the government of Israel. And this is the text of this letter. So Mr. Ehud Olmert, Prime Minister of the State of Israel, to all the ministers of the government of Israel regarding the right of Jewish prayer on the Temple Mount. We, the undersigned, are privileged to address you in the name of the nascent New Jewish Congress, a union of many movements, as well as on behalf of all of the Holy Temple and Temple Mount movements, and numerous public figures who participated in the Congress's preparatory conference that took place on the 17th day of Kislev of this year, the day of the Annapolis summit. We refer, and our referral carries no implication of consent, to various plans that have been proposed by this government as described in the press, such as the idea of the Holy Basin in any of its forms, or alternatively, to any other plan that calls for relinquishing even the slightest degree of Jewish sovereignty on the Temple Mount. We are convinced that the continuation of your political policies will result in an inability to stop the severe downspin decline, both in security and in the political situation, which threatens the very existence and standing of the people of Israel and the Jewish state. Indeed, Israel has all but ceased to be recognized as a Jewish state as a result of the continuation of your political policies. The principles of your government are exemplified by the refusal to grant permission to Jews to pray on the Temple Mount. Jews are denied the right to pray in groups and even as individuals. This refusal is accompanied by their constant degradation. They are granted no opportunity for any religious expression on the Mount whatsoever. At the same time, it is our position that if the stature of the Jews on the Temple Mount were to change positively, in a manner that would reflect their status as law-abiding citizens, sons of the nation that is sovereign on the mountain, and as people who have basic human rights in the Jewish state, then the standing of the State of Israel would immediately improve. This would effect a positive change for the benefit and security of all its citizens. In recent days, we were most disturbed to learn that senior representatives of the Hamas terror organization have been allowed to broadcast radio programming from the Temple Mount. We relate specifically to the broadcast that took place on the 10th of Tevet, Jewish fast day that marks the beginning of the siege that led to the destruction of the first temple. This broadcast took place on the very day of Kaddish for all those who perished in the Holocaust. During the course of this horrible broadcast, incitement to violence and calls of death to Jews emanated from the Temple Mount, location of the Holy Temple. And on this important day on the Jewish calendar, the Temple Mount was closed to Jews. We view these events as a horrific failure of this government. Ever since the Six-Day War, many Jews to whom the Temple Mount is precious, and what Jew does not hold the Temple Mount as precious, have demanded the right to pray at this sacred site. These demands have been based on their understanding that arrangements could be made that would reflect the reality of the current situation. However, the Jewish people will never accept the total refusal of Jewish communal prayer on the mountain. In light of the broadcast of Hamas from the Temple Mount and the serious implications of this situation, we demand that the government of Israel allow the Jewish people to have freedom of religious expression on the Temple Mount. Additionally, the government must establish special fixed days for Jewish communal prayer in fixed locations on the Temple Mount. This move will serve as evidence of Jewish sovereignty on the mountain. The Jewish people should have access to pray on the Temple Mount on the special days of significance on the Jewish calendar, such as the 3 pilgrimage festivals of Israel and the 14th of Nisan, the eve of Passover, the day on which our Holy Torah obligates each Jew to bring the Passover offering. And it should be noted that this rite has already been recognized by Israel's High Court of Justice. Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the first day of Hanukkah, the 3 fast days of the 10th of Tevet, 17th of Tammuz, and the 9th of Av, Israel Independence Day, Jerusalem Day, and the right to perform the Hakel ceremony at the conclusion of the sabbatical year. This will serve as a preliminary step in confirming the Jewish people's connection with the Temple Mount, location of the Holy Temple, under the sovereignty of the people of Israel. And it should be noted that this concept was recently expressed in a most forthright and positive manner by Rabbi Shar Yashuv Cohen, Chief Rabbi of Haifa, member of the Council of the Chief Rabbinate, and head of the Chief Rabbinate's Commission for establishing a place of Jewish prayer on the Temple Mount. At the same time, we must also state that we will not be prepared to accept arrangements for prayer based on shared or equal sovereignty, neither between religions or peoples or foreign representatives. If, heaven forbid, such arrangements are made, we will be unable to honor them. If you do not accept our appeal and demand, we shall understand that the chasm separating the Jewish people whose values have remained unchanged since time immemorial, chasm separating them and the current composition of the government of Israel as reflected by its policies, that chasm is immeasurably widening and deepening with each passing day. It is the government of Israel that is essentially responsible for any political or military repercussions. We await your response.